Nobita woke up from sleep to find his home in shambles. His mother had become weak and sickly, barely able to speak, and his father was bedridden after a car accident. Nobita threw himself over his father, crying loudly. His father could only sigh helplessly. Doraemon quickly snatched the hat off Nobita's head. It turned out everything had just been a dream. The effect of the standing dream hat. When worn, it weaves reality into a dream. That had been the tragedy mode. It could also be switched to comedy, romance, and other settings. Nobita wanted a brave adventure dream. He wanted to battle the great demon king and discover countless treasures. Doraemon adjusted the hat for him anyway. Nobita took the hat, put it on, and fell asleep instantly, entering a grand and magical world. At the start, it was just him and a dog, but the dog was actually Doraemon in disguise. Doraemon left in a huff. Nobita didn't seem to mind. He made his way alone down a steep cliff, which in reality was just the stairs at home. He saw two monsters chatting. They were actually his parents playing monsters. Nobita ignored them and walked on into the jungle. Suddenly, the ground shook violently. A giant rhino charged toward him. Nobita dodged it easily. In reality, he had stepped aside to avoid a large truck. Then he met a witch, brewing an unknown potion. In reality, it was just a woman sweeping the floor. As he walked on, a skull dropped and hit him. Nobita picked it up. A claw-waving monster jumped out from the grass. Nobita kicked the skull away, which was actually a soccer ball. The monster was just a kid fetching his ball. Nobita felt proud for defeating the monster. Soon he reached the entrance of a dark cave. Flickering torchlight cast an evil shadow. Nobita grew cautious. The shadow turned out to be a huge demon dragon. The dragon opened its mouth and breathed fire. In reality, it was a cute little dog barking at Nobita. Terrified, Nobita turned and ran. After escaping, he came across two fairies, hitting butterflies with feathers for fun. Nobita, charmed by one fairy, joined in. The fairy batted a butterfly toward him, but it suddenly turned into a vampire bat. Startled, Nobita was hit right then by a badminton shuttlecock. In reality, it was Shizuka and her friend playing. Nobita got up and hurried away. Back in the forest, he saw three octopuses flying. They were even crying. The culprits were three hairy monsters. As a brave hero, Nobita couldn't just stand by. He spotted a sword behind him, and its owner nearby. Nobita asked to borrow the sword. In reality, it was just a fisherman's pair of scissors. The fisherman handed them over. Nobita, now holding his heroic sword, felt full of confidence. The monsters stared at him unhappily. Nobita swung his blade down and cut John's kite string instead. John instantly flew into a rage. In the dream, the hairy monster grew enormous, stepping on Nobita with one foot. Yet in reality, Nobita was thrilled, thinking this adventure was amazing. Just then, Doraemon rushed over, pulling Nobita to safety. Nobita thought his dog had changed its mind and asked Doraemon to help him find treasure. Otherwise, he wouldn't leave. Doraemon had to play along, randomly pointing to a spot and saying treasure was there. In reality, Nobita was digging a hole in the park with a shovel. Doraemon prayed he'd dig up 10 yen, but after digging for a while, Nobita found nothing. Doraemon pointed somewhere else. Nobita started digging again. Before long, the park was full of holes. Still no treasure in sight. Just when Doraemon was out of ideas, Nobita's uncle happened to visit. He was about to go abroad and gave them some pocket money. Doraemon took the money and thanked him, tossing a few coins into one of the holes. Sure enough, Nobita discovered a chest of jewels in the hole. Doraemon took off the hat to bring him back to reality. Nobita opened the envelope and was a little disappointed. It was only 10,000 yen. Doraemon quickly told him to hush and not mix up dreams with real life.